Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm here to talk about 3 stocks that you need to buy as soon as possible. So we can see today wasn't the best day in the portfolio, but I'm not worried at all. That just means that I'm going to throw more money in. I'm going to dollar cost average down on my stocks, but this is nothing but a small hit to the past 3 months. I mean, it's really, a little dip in the chart. You can't really even tell. Yeah, let's get right into it. So if you do enjoy this video, be sure to smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys for watching. The first stock we're getting into here today is Google. So ticker symbol GOOG or GOOGL, whichever one you want. Google, I have a little bit in, not as much as I'd like. They pay a 0.4% dividend. Their price to earnings ratio is very low right now at $21 with, a sector average of probably off the top of my head, I'd say around 30 or 35. So this is an undervalued stock. They're a huge company at $2.45 trillion market cap. And we see this company is, fundamentally pretty undervalued with that PE ratio and, what the aspects they have to their company, which they're in software, healthcare, transportation, and other technologies. So Google, I have their their earnings presentation up. I think that this is a good way to, kind of delve into the stock's numbers and its ideas. I mean, you guys obviously know about Google. This is, yeah, it's funny. You guys are watching this video on YouTube, which is owned by Google. So that's kind of funny. So Alphabet's income statement. So we see their revenue has increased by about 12,000, this is in the millions, but $12,000, which is, 120 million. So it's even more than that. So they've increased by a good amount. And then we see what we're really looking for is their growth rates. So the revenue increased 14%. And their costs and expenses, we see their total costs and expenses also grew by 14%. That's not great to see, but we're not worried about that because their income from operations is still 14%, and we see their net income is 19%. So that's all that really matters. This company is still having growth rates of, we'd like to see the low 20%, but I think that Google's going to get there very soon. We see their revenues and operating income. Their operating margin is still in the 30s. This is, if you have a 30% margin in your company, you're doing something right. In the restaurant industry, just, to compare, average margin is around 5 to 10%. So if you have a 30% margin, this is obviously a different space, a different sector, but that's pretty good. I mean, the company's doing something right. They have a competitive advantage over their peers, and they have sought after products that people are willing to pay a premium for. That's why we're investing in the company. They have things that other companies don't, and we think that we're going to be able to make some money from this. So Alphabet's revenues and operating income, we see the revenue has increased 14%. Very sizable increase here. If we keep this up, I really like the growth rates in this company. Their cost of revenue only went up 10%. So the cost of revenues only went up 10% while the revenue went up 14%. So that's good to see. And if we look at their service revenues and operating income, what I wanted to see is this is very interesting because they have Google search. They're making most of their money. They're up 12% year over year. So this is kind of breaking it down. We see YouTube ads. They're up 13% year over year. So even more than Google search. Percentage wise, we see subscriptions, platforms, and devices. So I really like what I'm seeing from YouTube TV. I think that they have a really good thing going. They're up 20%. I really like that. And then we also have Google Network. I'm not 100% sure what that is, but they're down 1% year over year. That's not, a huge thing for the company. I'm not too worried about that. And then this is their Google Cloud revenues, which is one of their biggest leading businesses, or not their biggest leading, but this is, the part of their business that is growing the most exponentially. We have 30% year over year growth, and they got their margins up to the 20%. That's pretty good. So they were at 11%. So they were in the early stages of growth over here, and now they're kind of, getting their feet in the water. They're kind of settling down, and Google Cloud is looking very good. Google Cloud is actually taking some share in AWS. So let's see. Google Cloud market share. Spelled that wrong, but I wanted to look at this because Amazon has the biggest, obviously. So Amazon has 34% of the cloud infrastructure service market, but look at Google. Google's kind of gaining on them. So we see that Microsoft has 21%, Google has 11%, next 20 companies have 25%, and then 9% is others. But Google's a pretty big name in this space, and I think they're going to grow pretty good over the next, couple of years. They're pretty big up there. So I really like to see that. I'm happy to see that for Google. If we also, so that's the first stock that we have actually. That's all I have to say about Google. I go into depth in other videos if you guys want to see that. I very strongly believe in Waymo. I think that Waymo is also a great thing that Google is invested in, and a lot of money is going to be made off of that. So that's another great thing. And yeah, I really like Google's financials. I think that they're a steal deal right now. And I also think that this company, as a whole, is just a great business model and one that you can make a lot of money off of. So that's why I like Google. And the second stock that we're going into is a stock that I've covered extensively on this channel as well, but it is Cheesecake Factory. So this is one in the restaurant sector. We can see I don't have a lot of money in it, but I am up a pretty healthy percentage point. We're getting, a pretty good dividend, almost 2%. This one is also severely undervalued at 19 PE ratio. If we look at other companies in this sector, if we look at, Wingstop, let's look up Wingstop. I confused the ticker symbol there. It's Wing. So Wingstop's PE ratio is 56. Wingstop is a very popular company. That's no doubt about it. But we see that they have a very, very high PE ratio, and that's because they're, making a lot of money. Their growth rates are very high. And we can see in the past 5 years, they're up 100%. In the past year, they're actually down. But I mean, look at all time. And for a stock that IPO'd in 2015, to be up 1,000%, you can't complain. They've done pretty well for themselves. And there's a lot of other stocks. There's a lot of other restaurant stocks with very high PE ratios. Even after the recent dip, Chipotle still has a 38 PE ratio. So you can take Cheesecake Factory's, stock price, and if they achieve the growth rates that I think they're going to achieve, that's similar in the restaurant sector, you can just basically double this PE ratio, and that's going to double the stock price with the same financials. But I think their financials are going to be better too. So let's take a look at the investor presentation real quick. There's just a few things that I wanted to highlight. And the first thing is that there's 216 Cheesecake Factory locations. Okay, we know about Cheesecake Factory. I'm sure you've heard of the restaurant if you're watching this video. If you haven't, it's a pretty popular chain in America. It's also international, but they make they're called Cheesecake Factory, but they make all types of cuisine, just basic American cuisine, Italian cuisine. They have, some Mexican cuisine, Chinese, just everything is at Cheesecake Factory. And they also serve cheesecake for dessert. That's their big thing. So they are pretty popular, 216 locations. They're a pretty big cash cow. They have a decent, revenue, 3.6 billion. It's great. But you're investing in this company for the other aspects. So this is the 46 North Italia locations, the 42 Flower Child locations, and the 52 Fox Restaurant Concepts locations. So you're buying this company because of those, not because of Cheesecake Factory. If you are investing in this company because of Cheesecake Factory, I'd urge you to not. I think that you're still investing in the right thing, but I think that you're going to make a lot more, these are going to make a lot more money, North Italia. So we see North Italia is Italian, obviously. And we see that this is, they have an average check of the mid-30s and mid-40s. That's good to see. That's a good amount of money. But we currently have 46 locations in 16 states in Washington, D.C. Potential for 200 domestic locations over time. That's a lot of locations. And we see their sales are growing. So I like that. And then, or their sales aren't growing, actually, my fault. It's but they're in the early stages of growth, so I'm not worried at all. I'd rather them, take this net loss and use the cash that Cheesecake Factory is generating and then take this net loss right now. And I think that they're going to be well prepared for the future. And that's why you get in right now, because they have this, working business model. This, they're going to have over 200 locations over time, and they're targeting 20% average annual unit growth. That's pretty good. Attractive return profile and sales growth, that's true. So Flower Child is even bigger than North Italia because they have potential for 700 domestic locations over time. Yes, 700 restaurants. So that's a lot of restaurants. That's, a lot of space that they're going to take up. So this is a differentiated concept in the growing fast casual dining segment. Currently, they have 42 locations in 15 states. They're also targeting a 20% average annual unit growth. So this one's going to be growing for longer. But they should get to that 700 number, it shouldn't take too long. So I do like to see that a lot. I think that this, Flower Child, I've seen a lot of their food and what they do. So they actually do have a very attractive consumer demographic as well. It's people that are willing to pay more money for healthier food, which is what they're doing. And I think that as time goes on, people are going to be, willing to spend more and more money for food. And then, food is getting healthier. People are caring about their health more. I really like the concept as far as that goes, along with all the locations they have. And they also have Fox Restaurant Concepts, which is also a great money maker, $300 million revenue, but this isn't even about making money. This is literally just about finding things that are going to, work out, like North Italia and Flower Child did. They started expanding on those because they worked out so well. And then we have Culinary Dropout, Blanco, and the Henry that they're testing growth on. So they have a few locations of these, not just one. And so they're, these are the companies that they're kind of like, okay, maybe these are going to work. We think they're going to work, but we need to test it out a little bit more with other locations. And they also have boutique brands that are in the incubation stage. So these are brands that maybe have 1 or 2, maybe 3 locations. So they're not as big as these ones are, but they're still pretty big. So I really like what Cheesecake Factory is doing there. They're making a conglomerate. They're making a monopoly almost in the restaurant space. They're going to have all of these restaurants that are backed by Cheesecake Factory's heavy cash footprint, their heavy free cash flow that they have. They're going to be backed by that. So I really think that these restaurants are set up for amazing growth. And we see all of these restaurants have unit growth, in 2025, 25 new units. They're probably going to be more if I had to guess. But we see that they're building a lot of Flower Childs, a lot of North Italias, a few Cheesecake Factories, because why not? Culinary Dropout, Blanco, and the Henry. There's a lot of things that are being built. So I really like that. And then we also look at the sales growth. We see fiscal year 2024 and then quarter 2 2025. So this is versus quarter 2 2024. We see the Cheesecake Factory is still growing. Their Fox restaurant concepts are growing very well. They were negative 4% last year. Now we're at 2%. That's really good. I didn't see that when I was looking through it, but I really like that as well. They're doing a good thing with these Fox restaurant concepts. And also, North Italia is down a little bit, but I think that's just early stages of growth. I'm not too worried about that. So that's what I have for Cheesecake Factory, a fundamentally undervalued stock. I think a lot of people don't really know what Cheesecake Factory really is. I think that people see the stock and they think, oh, it's Cheesecake Factory. I don't want to invest in that restaurant. There's not much room for growth, but they don't know that they own North Italia, Flower Child, and then these 52 Fox restaurant concept brands. I think that as people find out that they own these, then the stock is going to rise a lot more than it already has, and it's already risen a lot. So I feel very good about this company right now, fundamentally undervalued, and they have huge potential for growth. Great business model. That's the gist of the video. So that's Cheesecake Factory. That's the second stock. The third stock on our list, Shopify. Ticker symbol SHOP. I have a little bit in this company. I've up a big percent as well, but not a lot of money in there. These are some companies I invested in earlier. I do want a dollar cost average up in this company. They had a really good past earnings. They got all the way to $154, Shopify. So very happy to see that. And then we also see the Shopify, their price to earnings ratio a little bit higher. But if we look at their market cap here, they're also a pretty big company, especially compared to Cheesecake Factory. But the thing that I like about Shopify too is they don't pay a dividend unlike the other two stocks. I mean, Google's dividend isn't all that big, but Shopify actually doesn't pay a dividend, which I do like to see. They're a pure growth company. That's their main focus, is growing. See, they smashed their dividend or their earnings last quarter, and that's why the PE ratio is so high. The stock is trading so rich because they have, that insane potential for growth. If we look at the investor presentation right here, we see their revenue in quarter 1 of 2025 is up 27% year over year. So growth rates like that, once you get 20 plus, that's what's going to give you the PE ratios above 50. If you're growing your company consistently by over 20% year over year, then you're probably going to have a pretty high PE ratio, because that's an expensive stock. If you're a company that can do that, you're worth a lot. So let's delve deeper into Shopify. So these are some big brands powered by Shopify too. We see Reebok is up there, Gymshark, Allbirds, Mr. Beast. You guys have probably heard about that if you're on YouTube. Skims, pretty highly bought brand. I've heard a lot about it. Nestle, Steve Madden, Fashion Nova, Hanes, Dollar Shave Club, Kit. There's a lot of brands that are powered by Shopify. And you see they're actually adding a lot of brands. So you see Dickies was actually added, JD, Jansport. There's a lot of good brands on there. So we see that also they're adding a lot of new features. They have, these Shop Pay. They're adding the App Store. They're adding an ecosystem. So they have Shopify Expert, Shopify Theme, Shopify Partners, Shopify App Store. There's a lot of things that Shopify is adding as they're growing at this insane rate. So what I'm looking for right now is the balance sheet. I want to see Shopify's balance sheet, because their revenue is, obviously amazing. it doesn't get better than this 12% compounding annual growth rate. I mean, this company's revenue is out of this world, to be honest. And they see that they have so much runway. This is true. I mean, look at the potential for national growth. I mean, that's the beautiful thing that Shopify has as an e-commerce company, is they can expand nationally, so easily. They don't actually have to build brick and mortars in China, in Norway, in Africa. They just have the website, they just have their name out there, and anyone can access the internet with a signal. So we also see the payments penetration continues to increase over time. Gross payment volume, I mean, that's just from getting more users on the app. Their monthly reoccurring revenue, this is a business model that is ran by a lot of great businesses. We see that one of the best to ever run this business model is Costco. Let's just take a look at their stock and see how they're doing. They're doing all right. So it's not a horrible stock. And their business model is that, that reoccurring revenue. So we really love to see that grow. And that is one of the best things in their earnings report, I think. Then the growth profitability, there's just a lot of great things in Shopify. It goes on for days. So actually, is their balance sheet on here? I'm curious to see, because I think that would be very helpful. Okay, it is. So let's see their balance sheet right here. They have their reconciliation of GAAP earnings, their free cash flow. I mean, let's look at their free cash flow, actually. Look at how that's growing. Wow. That's really good. That's good for a company to be growing free cash flow like that. We see that their GAAP sales and marketing, we're growing that as well. It's very good to see. And they're growing that pretty consistently as well. 405 in quarter one of 2025. And Shopify has been a great company, but they really blew up, this past earnings. So Shopify really did a good thing this past earnings, and I think that they're still cheap for what they are, honestly. I mean, this company, they've been more expensive. Do I think Shopify reached its peak? No, not at all. And so that's why I think that buying Shopify right now, that's kind of a sentiment that I invest with a little bit. Do I think that a company has reached its highest that it's ever going to be already and there's no more room for growth? No. If the answer is no, then why not buy the company? You know what I mean? If I see Shopify and they've hit 150, 160 before and they're 138, and I'm thinking, Shopify is never going to be higher than they were. That was the peak of their company. They were doing the best. I'm not going to buy it. Then that's a valid reasoning. That's a reason not to buy a company. But I see this and I think, okay, Shopify's a lot better than they were in 2021. Their numbers, alone. Let's just look at even their free cash flow. Look at it in 2021 is, it was actually 536. So I think that Shopify is a better company than they were in 2021. They're better positioned, but they did have good numbers in here as well. But then we see their capital expenditure is a lot better. Their free cash flow is pretty, they're kind of getting back on track, it actually seems to me. But their margins are higher, so free cash flow margins. So this is still, nevertheless, it's a better business, I think. They're kind of sorting some things out, and they did have a big boom in 2021 when COVID was going on because people were shopping online more. That was kind of unrealistic. It's not always going to be like that. Maybe in the next 100 years, who knows? But I do really like Shopify at this price. I think that you can't get scared away by this PE ratio because this is an expensive company. As you've seen from the numbers, they're worth what people are paying for them. And I think that Shopify is a great company. That's my third and final stock that I think you guys should invest in, and the reasoning for doing so. If you got to this point in the video, be sure to smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel. I very much appreciate it. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.